Welcome back to Not Your Average Joe and Dad, and today we'll be talking about our trips that we did in the past few weeks.
Really, only the past week and a half, maybe.
Yeah.
Which one you want to start with?
Yours?
Mine has a lot to it. You ready for all that?
Yes.
Well, so I went to Western Hunt Expo with Montana Knife Company. They brought me out there to have a good time. And it started last Thursday with my flights being delayed for hours and hours. Yeah, it was bad. Woke up to a text from American that said my flight was delayed. Didn't really give it a time when I would be flying back out, and I was supposed to leave at like 10 or 11, and it moved to 12, then just kind of was open-ended, and then it was 1, and then 2, and I was checking. With the way it works is I fly out of Jackson, Mississippi, and there's just a plane that bounces back and forth from Dallas, and I was actually watching the plane in Dallas, and it wasn't leaving, so I didn't leave the house until that plane finally left. And because of all that, all my flights got delayed, but I finally got to the airport and was waiting. And the plane was en route. Well, I was sitting there, and actually, they found out they had another plane. This is American Airlines, got diverted and had an engine go out midair.
Midair? You didn't tell me it was midair.
Engine went out midair. They actually had the safety crews on the ground ready for whatever the landing may be. And the landing went fine, but all the people in the plane were shook up and all the maintenance people were there. So we finally boarded on a different plane. We get in there and the pilot comes on and goes, well, we're not going to be taking off right now. We have an issue with our microphones. Microphone doesn't work. And we have a call into maintenance, but all the maintenance people are working on the plane that had an engine go out. So we don't really know how long we're going to be sitting here. Well, he comes back on and maintenance finally came. So they replaced the microphone, said we were good to go, but we ended up sitting in the plane without moving at all for about 45 minutes to an hour. Luckily, when all of my planes switched, my flight in Dallas was a lot later. I was going to have a huge layover in Dallas, which ended up working out because I only ended up having about an hour. But because of all that, all my seats changed and everything. So make the flight to Dallas. That was fine. Get on my plane to Dallas to Salt Lake. And of course, I have the very last row, middle seat, full plane, people on either side of me. So I took the next 2.5 hours to just sit straight up and look straight forward. I tried to watch some movies on my phone or something, but it was a horrendous flight. And not to mention, just it was like getting thrown around in a rocking chair. There was so much turbulence. And had to listen to all my buddies text me like, where are you at? We're here. They've been there since about 2, and they were already gone to the show, and they were out eating and having a good time. And they were like, where are you at? Where are you at? And I'm like, well, I'm on a plane stuck between 2 people. So flights are brutal. Got to Salt Lake, realized I should become an Uber driver in Salt Lake City.
Huh.
I called an Uber from the airport to my hotel, which is about 7 miles. Cost me like $41 for
That's a lot.
For like a 7-minute car ride. Is $41 on a Thursday night. So yeah, got all that done and met up with my buddies and hung out for a little bit before going to sleep and waking up and doing the show. Western Hunt Expo is a big show out west. Everybody's there.
And Dad is a mean, lean selling machine.
I did. I slung some knives. I'll get to that. You want the short story or you want me to tell you all of them?
All of them.
Well, we get there. Not a lot of snow actually in Salt Lake. But before we actually went to the show on Friday, so I got there late Thursday night. Friday was the time of the show, but the show didn't start till 10. So me and my buddies, Chase, Tim, and Judd, we got up and grabbed breakfast. It was about 8 o'clock. And so we still had time. I've been wanting to go to the Land Cruiser Heritage Museum, which is in Salt Lake. And so we actually were able to jump over there and go to the Land Cruiser Heritage Museum for, an hour or so before that, and looked at all the cool Land Cruisers, which funny part is I've owned most of them. I don't now, but I've had most of the models. And some really cool stuff from overseas, mega cruisers that you think look like Hummers.
They look just like Hummers.
They do, but they are Toyota Land Cruiser mega cruisers. And so it was really cool. They had a bunch of stuff, got to see a lot of really cool Land Cruisers I love, and got to talking to the guy behind the counter. Of course, we knew a lot of the same people because I've been in that world for a while. And He's good friends with a buddy of mine, and I did all that. Bought Joe some Velcro patches, and did I get a sticker? Yeah, I think we got some stickers.
Well, not from there.
I thought I got a sticker from there.
Mm-mm.
My bad. There may be one floating around.
Nope.
So anyway, then from there we went to the show, walked around. It was, if you've never been, it's an incredible show. I mean, there's literally stuff everywhere, rooms and rooms and rooms. But first thing I did when I walked in the show was found the room to validate my tags. Utah offers 200 tags, like elk and deer and moose and all that kind of stuff, just for people that come to the show. So it's $5 to apply per tag, but you have to go to the show to validate it in person for that tag to be valid.
All this is new to me.
Yeah. So first thing I did was walk straight up there, validated my tags in person. So maybe I'll get drawn for an elk tag or a super deer tag or something.
It's a super deer tag.
Just like you can pull a tag for a mule deer in like a really nice unit. It's kind of hard to get. So it'd be like a super tag, which you should be able to get a really nice mule deer. Oddly enough, I have better odds of drawing these tags than I do just regular tags. So did that, walked around, just saw there's so much stuff. I'm going to hit the highlights because there's just so much stuff. You know, got to the MKC booth, got to see everybody. Josh Smith and Jess Smith were there. I missed Brandon and Andrew. I think they flew out the day before. And of course, Brett was there. Hung out with Brett the night before. I was with Brett almost every hour of the day.
Yeah, and Brett did something really nice for Dad.
He did. He brought me a knife I've been looking for. So I was really excited about that. It's very nice of him, and I'm pretty excited to have that one.
He did a pretty nice thing for me, too, that I'm going to wait to tell y'all.
Yeah, wait. So I don't really know how to condense it all. I'm going to hit the highlights. Joe sent me with a directive, if you remember the last podcast, to meet Remi Warren or get something signed by Remi Warren and bring a sticker back. And so he was there. He had a booth, and we walked around a ton. I mean, just saw all the gear that I use. All those people were there. I was walking around with an MKC badge on, so I felt really important. And everybody else kind of thought I was somebody, and I'm not, which was great. Bought a few things, didn't buy a ton of stuff, but day one happened, and you just walk around. I mean, it is massive. It is in a convention center, and it is booths everywhere. So we walked around for a good while, bought a few things, and ended up back at the MKC booth, kind of hanging out. But then that's when I started slinging knives. I love to sell things, and we were just selling knives left and right.
He would walk back in the back and be like, 2 more knives, please.
Yep, I was selling them doubles at a time, meeting a lot of great folks. I mean, the booth was just slammed. I mean, you didn't have to do a lot to sell a knife. There was Montana Knife Company has a great reputation and is really blowing up, and the booth was just slammed all day long. But about 5 o'clock, maybe the show ends at 7, so about 5 o'clock, somebody texted me. They were walking around and said, "Hey, Remi's at his booth," because we had walked around and talked to the guys that work with Remi. Talked to the guy that started Day 6 Arrows. Super nice guy. Talked about turkey hunting. Told me to come out to Wyoming. He knew some people I could, pay a trespass fee on. So he's a super nice guy there. Talked to Remi's business manager, maybe Nico. Really good guy. But a buddy of mine texted me. He's like, "Hey, Remi's at the booth." So I jumped out of the Montana Knife Company booth and make the trek, which was long. I was almost sprinting to get back there, and ended up meeting Remi and talked to him for a long time. There was nobody around, so I was trying to be respectful of his time. And he was telling us stories, and we were just talking, and it was really cool. But it was just there was nobody around. I tried to be nice, like, "Hey man, I really appreciate it. I'm gonna let you get back to it." And he just kind of kept telling us stories. So in the middle of that, I was like, "Hey, do you mind FaceTiming my kid?"
Which is me.
Which is Joe. And I called the first time, they didn't answer, and so we were turned around and still talking, and I think y'all may have called me back. I don't remember.
I have no idea.
The long story short on this particular part is Remi FaceTime Joe, and Joe could not say a word.
My grandmother pushed me out of her way because I froze.
He just literally stood there with his jaw dropped, looking at the phone, and I had to say, "Joe, say hello." And he was like, "Hello." I was like, "You got to talk." And honestly, Joe didn't say a word. So, I mean, we weren't on the phone too long. But Remi, was like, said he heard good things about you and you played him in the video game and stuff. And I got a hat signed for you right before that, got a t-shirt. And it was, I mean, I think Joe was floored. Tell me what you thought about that. You got
I
to.
couldn't really think about anything.
I know, just like now, I'm trying to tell you. Were you happy Remy called you?
I didn't feel a thing.
Yeah. Well, what about now? Thinking back on it.
Very, very excited. Very, very excited.
Yeah, that's all you got. That's fun.
Very, 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 very excited.
Okay. Well, so yeah, that was probably the highlight of the day. I mean, Remy talking to Joe and got his hat signed, and they just put out like a youth hat and a youth shirt, so I bought both of those for Joe. That's what I got signed, and went back around and went and slinged more knives till it was over. Got back to the booth, and Josh and Jess were asking kind of what the plans were, and we ended up going to a Peaks equipment. So they do like headlamps and my favorite headlamp, and they do like walking sticks and just a lot of stuff for the outdoors based in Montana. So we ended up going to their kind of not after party, but I guess it was an after party.
And Dad, you're not allowed to buy any of those walking sticks.
Well, it's like a trekking pole. It's a little bit different than walking sticks. So we ended up driving. They were pretty far away. They had a big Airbnb in the mountains of Utah. So it probably took us 30 minutes to get there. And we go up and we get there. And it's kind of interesting because Airbnb, a lot of industry people, but you had to take your shoes off because it was an Airbnb and nobody wanted to clean up all the snow and mud. So luckily I had on matching socks and walked around, just met a lot of people I've known of.
I would have been in trouble if I was there because I never wear matching socks.
That's true. But yeah, it was just a great time. Somebody was cooking steaks and there's just a lot of food, a lot of people, just a great environment. And ended up talking to somebody. This is a funny story. Talking to somebody that I met early in the day that was at the Ruger booth, like Ruger firearms. And we were really talking, and he's from Baton Rouge, and he started telling me about when he started hunting, and he said the name Tilda Bogue. I said, hold on, where is this? And he's like, Canton. And funny part is one of my good friends, Nolan, he grew up with Nolan. Mr. Bill, Nolan's dad, used to take him hunting, and he's known Nolan his entire life. So here I am in Salt Lake City, Utah, meeting a guy, and one of the guys he grew up with is one of my good friends, and also a Land Cruiser buddy.
We go fishing at Nolan's lake and camping at his lake, and we do a lot of stuff.
Yeah, we a lot of the trips I've taken with my Land Cruiser have all been with Nolan. It's just a small world. I'm at a after party with Peaks equipment and meet somebody that grew up with a friend of mine from back home in Mississippi. So it was a good time when we wrapped that night up and got back after it again on Saturday. And it was just even more busy. It was insanely busy. But the highlights from Saturday are one is just selling knives. We almost sold out of knives by 2:00 on Saturday.
Was this the night of your funny dinner?
Yeah, it was. I did order a new rifle from Seekins Precision.
Oh goodness, a new rifle.
I know. I'm pretty excited about that. I just couldn't pass it up. I mean, the Seekins guys I've met a couple times, and they were really good to us. And after I ordered mine, all my buddies ordered one. So we ordered 4 of them at one time.
Seriously?
Yeah. And then Brett came back and ordered a couple because we stayed on him. But it was really cool, actually, in the booth, Seekins booth, Teton Leather, Francesca Ritchie. She had her alligator that she killed covered in leather, and it was incredible. But she's the one that's going to do our leather work when I get our alligator skins back.
Really?
Yeah. So me and her sat there and talked to alligators for probably 30 minutes. Huh. Not everybody's killed an alligator, so it was going back and forth on how to kill it and what do we do with it. But yeah, all my hides are getting tanned right now. So ordered the Seekins. I pretty much stayed in the Montana Knife Company booth to kind of help me save money after that, and just sat there and we were just selling knives. But come to find out, a lot of the meat eater guys were there. So like Giannis Patelis was there, Randall Williams, who Joe loves to listen to on the podcast and trivia. He was there, and then Ryan Callahan was supposed to be there.
Which we have met already.
We have met Callahan down at the Delta Expo in Baton Rouge, or Delta Waterfowl.
And we did not know that he was at the Delta Waterfowl Expo.
No, we didn't. But kind of to bring this all around, the reason I was wanting all them there is I bought Meat Eater did a turkey call that was a limited run years ago. They're all numbered. Pretty hard to get. You can't get them anymore. You can watch it on YouTube where they cut down one tree for just the pot and one tree for just the strikers. They're numbered. They're limited. They weren't cheap. I bought 2. I used one. Had one put away for Joe. He didn't know it until we actually met Steve Ranella in Dallas.
Yes.
Joe had him sign it. Brody Henderson was there. All Meat Eater guys had them sign it. Well, I took this call with me knowing they might be there and had it in my backpack and found out that Giannis and Randall were over at the booth. So I ran over there and got to meet Giannis. And what do you got?
And Giannis and Randall are the two people I really want to meet.
Yep. So I met Giannis, talked to him for a minute. And of course, he had people everywhere trying to talk to him, and then got him to sign it, and then jumped over there and talked with Randall. I probably talked with Randall Williams for 45 minutes an hour. Just a super great dude.
Tell him what you had Randall do.
Oh, if you ever listen to the Meat Eater podcast, Randall and Steve are always kind of back and forth in the trivia. And anyway, I had Randall sign over Steve's face on the call of this turkey box. It just seemed kind of poetic. So Randall's signature is right on Steve Ranella's face. Huh. But we talked a long time. He actually lives not far from where I turkey hunt and kind of knew the area up there. And so we were just kind of talking hunting stories. Cal was supposed to be there, but he missed his flight and did not get there in time. And so I got back to the booth and I was talking to Josh Smith about it. And he was like, well, let me text Cal. So he's texting back and forth with Cal. And Cal was nice enough to say, hey, if we don't cross paths, I'll just give him my address and he can mail it to me and I'll still sign it for him.
Which is cool.
Very cool. Super nice guy. But Meat Eater or Cal, I don't know I think Meat Eater was affiliated, was doing an offsite event to raise awareness for public lands and whatnot. So we ended up running over there afterwards. You got a Yeti and some other stuff, but actually, I did meet Cal. I said, hey, Josh has been talking to you about signing something for me. And he goes, oh, it's for you?
Because we met him at the last expo.
We did. And he remembered me and remembered Joe. And we were talking. He was a super great guy. And he ended up signing it for me. And we started talking to turkeys, kind of what our plans were for this year and whatnot. And just had a great time and got all that signed for Joe. Got a little bit of swag. And that night, we ended up at a Brazilian steakhouse, which, if you've never been to one, it's an experience. But
tell the whole story.
The whole story is we took a long time to get there. It was kind of hard to find because it was in the top of like a.
Start from the very beginning and tell the whole entire thing.
Well, I am. What part?
Like asking directions.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, we couldn't find it, and I randomly stopped some people on the side of the road. And were like, "Have you heard of this place? You know where it's at?" And like, "Oh yeah, it's right up here." We had walked past it a bunch, and so we ended up getting in there. You needed reservations, and the lady behind the counter was very hard to understand her. She had a heavy accent, and she was like, "Well, I don't know if you want the $39.99."
Do your voice.
I'm not doing the voice.
Why?
Because I don't want to do it, but. If she said for $39.99, I won't be able to get you until like $9.50, which was almost 2.5 hours. She said, but if you want to take advantage of our Valentine's Day special, it's $140, and that's per couple. I'm there with 6 dudes, so it's 6 of us, and she said, if y'all want to do that, y'all can do it now. And all we heard was now. So we're like, yeah, we'll do that. So we sit at the table and it's me and 5 other dudes. And the waiter comes over and gives us the whole Valentine's Day couple speech and lets us know we get champagne and a dessert and all this other kind of stuff. And so we may have messed with them a little bit. It was fun. And then we started eating. They just keep bringing meat out. So we did all of that.
Didn't you have like fermented quail eggs or something?
No, I had marinated quail eggs. And then there was a lot. There's so much that I really don't even know what all we ate. It was just meat at that point, and we were starving. I don't think any of us really ate all day because we were so busy. And had a good time. Went back, hung out at the hotel. I met a million great people. I'm not talking about not on purpose. It's just we met so many people. And next morning, woke up, called an Airbnb to the airport. Pretty much all my flights were good.
You mean Uber?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I called an Uber back to the airport, and all my flights were good. The flight out of Salt Lake was incredible because coming in, it was night and it was raining. Had a little bit of snow, but it actually was not that bad. But flying out that Sunday morning, it was gorgeous. Just mountain ranges covered in snow. It looked like just an Arctic tundra. Are you tired?
No.
What are you doing? Just yawning. You're like, into the microphone. What is all that? Am I boring you? It's that bad, huh?
No.
You sure?
Yeah.
Okay, well, don't be yawning in my microphone, boy.
This microphone is mine. That microphone's yours.
It is, but the way you're yawning makes you seem like I'm boring, which I probably am. But anyway, flights are great. Got back home. Joe picked me up and just completely worn out and showed him all the cool stuff and told him all the stories. He had a ball. But literally the next morning, like 6 o'clock, he was up and on his way to the beach. And so I'm going
Yep.
to let him tell me that because I really don't know what all he did except for he left the next day and was gone until Thursday. So tell me about the beach.
So we wake up. I packed the night before, so we got ready. We drove to Florence because we had to pick up my grandmother, and then we drove to Gulf Shores in Alabama, and it took us about 3 to 3.5 hours to get there. And I mostly looked out the window and played my game the whole time. Whenever we go on trips, I play Minecraft the most.
This is your Nintendo Switch?
Yes.
Okay.
You actually got it that
I
time.
know. Same one you use when you go hunting.
Yes. So we stopped by Buc-ee's and we stopped by a random gas station in Hattiesburg. I believe it was Hattiesburg. And I get this like cool little wood carving wolf. And then we keep on driving, and I'm just kind of like sitting there on the window, just kind of almost asleep, almost awake. And then we roll up to Buc-ee's, and what I hate about the Buc-ee's signs is that you get one, it says Buc-ee's exit, 48 miles or whatever.
Yeah.
And then you never get another one until it says next exit.
Well, the worst ones are Texas. When you're going out there, it says Buc-ee's 185 miles.
Yeah, no, those are the worst. So yeah, and then we get there, and there's these little things it's a toy, and it's like a 3D printed dragon with a 3D printed egg, and it comes with some other type of random dragon, I don't know. And then there's 4 different types. I believe there's blazing, which is the one that I got. I'm guessing it's fire. And then there's lightning, and I have lightning. And then there's thunder and electricity, which I don't have.
So you went to Buc-ee's and got a toy.
Yes.
Okay.
And also got some of our favorite chips and got some of our favorite chicken salad.
Oh, nice.
And then we had about a 45-minute drive to Gulf Shores. So there's this one store that we always go to. So we went there, and yeah, so we shopped. And then I saw these shark tooth necklaces, and I really wanted one, but of course my mom said no. And then we left, and then we went to the beach. We went to our condo or whatever.
The condo your grandmother has you of. Not our
Yes.
condo. We don't own a condo.
Well, yeah, I know that. It's one of my grandmother's friends that owns it. So then we unpack, we get ready, and then we go to the beach. And I'm having a great time at the beach, just like digging in the sand, playing in the ocean. And also, I guess I don't know what cold water feels like because it was like, I don't know, 50 degrees outside. So the water was at least 50 degrees.
Well, I know when y'all went, like that week, last week, the weather in Mississippi got really cold. So they got down there on a Monday, and I think like Tuesday's high was like 30 or 40, and then like Wednesday's lows were in the teens, 20s here. And I think it was that cold down there. So, I mean, it was just absolutely frigid.
But that was at night. The teens were at night.
It's still cold.
Mm-hmm. So then we play at the beach. I make a new friend. Well, no. No, I don't. The friend is the next day.
But you still made a new friend.
Yes. So
what kind of stuff are you doing? You're saying playing on the beach, but what'd you do? You just run around and stick your hand in sand?
Buried myself, made some very poor sandcastles, made a nice little, like, sandman, not a snowman, but a sandman.
Okay.
And I guess he was really tired because he's called a sandman.
Gotcha. Is that a joke?
Yes and no.
Okay.
So, yeah, and then we packed up, we went back to the cottage or whatever you want to call it.
Condo,
whatever. And then we watch TV, and my grandmother got me these little things. It's like you peel off a sticky thing, and it's like cats. It's like a coaster. And then she got me a other one, and it's diamonds. They're not real diamonds. They're shiny.
They're just
And
shiny, sparkly stones.
yes, well, not real stones.
But
They're
they're
like
cat coasters?
yes.
That's
So
weird.
yeah, no. So there's this little pin, and there's this glue that you put the pin in, and that's just to pull up. I mean, to grab the diamonds, and then you put the diamond on the thing.
I have no idea what you're talking about, and I've seen these, so let's move on.
Yeah. So then you just put the cork on it.
Let's fast forward to the next day. You
Yeah.
went to sleep. You wake up the next day and go back to the beach. Made some friends. What'd y'all do?
So we made a ginormous sandcastle. We made a sand cave. So wait, I need to start from the beginning. So I play in the water. I play in the sand. There's this one kid. He leaves, and then there's two more kids. They come, and then this kid comes up to me and he's like, "What's your name?" I'm like, "Joe." "Where are you from?" "Mississippi." And he's like, "All right." And then he goes back to his sandcastle, and then he comes back and he's like, "You want to help me build the sandcastle?" I'm like, "Sure." So I come back.
Is this where I can yawn in your story like you did in mine?
I wasn't bored in your
Oh,
story.
okay. Well, I'm gonna yawn.
So yeah, and we make this wall to protect his older brother, like cool like structure. And I learned how to do this cool sand art where you just take sand and you put water in the sand, and it's like almost like just a liquid, like the whole entire thing's a liquid, and then you just kind of like use your hands and almost like you're like sprinkling sprinkles, and it like makes a tower, and it looks really cool.
Did you take any pictures of that?
I wish I would, but we forgot.
Oh, okay.
So then we make the wall. We put sticks in the wall to make it strong, and then they leave to go get lunch. So then they said, like, make a little sand cave. So I made a deep sand cave, and when they got back, I just got finished making those sand towers and making the sand cave. And then I just got done, like putting shells on the wall to make it decorative. And
So you
then,
had a good time. You made a bunch of sand castles, caves, and buried yourself, and made some new friends.
yes. So,
Did you play in the water at all?
oh yeah, I
Huh.
tried to boogie board, but it wasn't quite deep enough.
Didn't work out.
No. So, yeah, and then we took a log that we found on the beach. We put it over my sand cave, and then we took that stuff that we used to make the towers, the sand towers. It also acts kind of like a sand concrete. It's harder than regular sand.
Okay.
So we used that to like make sure that the sticks on the log wouldn't come off because we made a little roof. And then we put some regular sand, and we put the concrete sand on all over the sticks. And then we took regular sand and just kind of patted it on the wet sand. And then we finished that one, and we started on another one, but we left before we could finish it. And on Wednesday, which was the day after that, it was supposed to pour down rain.
Yeah. So y'all went shopping.
Yep. And then the last day, Thursday morning, because we left Thursday morning, we went out to the beach before we left. And so we tried to salvate anything that we could really salvation.
So you
And
tried to save anything you could.
yes.
You don't salvate anything.
I know.
Okay. I was just making sure you knew that.
So yeah.
So y'all hung out on the beach for a little bit and then drove back.
Yeah, and then we started on another thing on the beach though. I wasn't there to finish it. We started making a sand cave on one side and a sand cave on the other and tried to connect it. And we left before that could happen.
So I have a question for you.
Yes.
What was cooler? Remi Warren FaceTiming you or going to the beach?
That's a dumb question.
Well, which one is it?
Do I even have to tell you?
Maybe.
Remi Warren.
Okay, I was just checking.
Oh, the first beginning of the day, So we get there, and I don't see my friends anywhere. And then I see these two people walking up. And I'm like, they look familiar. And then when they get closer, it's my friend's older brother, and then his dad and his younger brother were still coming. And when they got closer, they walked through like a sand twister. It was like a sand tornado.
Huh.
And they walked through it, and then we made the cave.
Well, good. So you had a good time.
Yes.
So we had two.
Oh, and then we stopped by Buc-ee's again.
Of course, you had to stop by Buc-ee's.
Well, it was Mom's plan.
Yeah. Well, so you had a good time. So we had 2 good trips.
Yep.
This is officially our longest podcast ever.
Really?
Oh, yeah. This is because you kept talking and talking and talking.
You had the longer story.
I did, but I had more cool things. You just played with the sand.
Oh, hush.
So I guess a couple things we haven't done. We kind of had to recoup from that. We did pick up a couple Euro mounts from the taxidermist.
Oh, yeah.
So Joe got his nice 8-point back. We'll have to post a picture of that. I got the buck we call 2-tone back, which has a third. He has a third main beam basically. So we'll try to post some pictures of that. Again, Josh and Jess with Montana Knife Company, they're great folks, way better humans. Aside from knives, they're just great people and were kind enough to bring me out there and had a trip of a lifetime with them. Next week, we actually probably be going into March, so it's time for us to start patterning some shotguns and really start talking turkeys. So,
oh yeah,
I think next podcast episode next week. It's Sunday. We're recording this. It's rainy, so
yeah.
probably,
sorry, it's been a while, but we've just been on our trips.
Yep, and so we'll probably get out and start patterning some shotguns, start scouting for turkeys because March 8th is the opening morning for youth. So we should be having a lot of turkey stuff coming up here real soon. Yeah, you ready?
Yep.
So we'll tell some turkey stories next week.
And I will not blow it this year.
Yep. And talk about Joe's turkey setup, talk about my turkey setup.
Talk about what happened a few years ago.
Yeah, that's the turkey story. So anyway, Joe, as always, I need you to tell me a joke.
All right, this is a request from my grandmother and grandfather.
You can start saying Mama and Pawpaw because you don't actually call them your grandfather and grandmother.
Mama and Pawpaw. And why does a duck have tail feathers?
Why?
To cover its butt quack.
Did you make that one up?
No.
That's better than your one last week.
Yeah, I know.
Well, I think that's going to about do it for us. This is a little bit longer than we normally do, but just wanted to recap that for everybody. And as always, what do you say, Joe? What do they need to do?
Like and subscribe and hit that notification bell so whenever we post a new video, you can go watch it.
Yeah, we've been trying to post some of the videos on Instagram. It's a lot easier on Instagram. For whatever reason, YouTube's taken a video or 2 down. But a lot of times if you hear these stories, I'll post pictures throughout the week, just kind of showing that goes with some of the stories we talk about. So with that, I think we're about done today. Anything else?
Catch us on the next one.
That's right. Is that your new tagline?
Yes.
All right. Y'all have a good one.